Welcome back, anime fans. In this thrilling episode of The Strongest Magician in the Demon Lord's army was a human, the demon army faces a new and dangerous challenge as Commander Safiro is held captive by the enemy and a deadly trap awaits the 7th Legion. Stay with us as we dive into the unforgettable events of Episode 11. The episode begins with the Demon Lord rushing to inform Ike of an urgent situation. Commander Safiro has occupied Alesta, but it was a trap. She's now besieged by enemy forces, numbering a staggering 5,000 soldiers. With time running out, the Demon Lord prepares Ike's battalion for an immediate departure. The mission is clear. They must save Safiro at all costs. Meanwhile, we are introduced to Radol, an enemy commander. One of his soldiers remarks that Alesta will soon fall. Confident in his impending victory, Radol decides it is time for him to personally join the battle. On the battlefield, Safiro and her comrades fight bravely, but they are overwhelmed by the sheer number of enemy forces. Arrows rain down, and many of Safiro's soldiers are struck down, including their leader, Fiorentina. The enemy soldier mocks Fiorentina, saying she is tough for a demon, but is now finished. We then see Ike back at home, preparing for battle by donning his mask and armor. Just as he's about to leave, Piggy arrives with urgent news. The Alliance of Kings has launched a full-scale attack on the kingdom. Ike steps out onto the balcony and sees that their current location has also been attacked. Piggy explains that a mysterious girl saved them. He describes her as an incredibly strong young woman who single-handedly defeated all the enemies. Back in the room, Ike informs Piggy that he will head to Alesta immediately to support Safiro's army. Ike asks how many forces are available, and Piggy responds that with 100 soldiers wounded from the previous attack, only about 500 are left. He adds that they must leave some of these forces behind to prevent another attack, meaning fewer than 500 will actually be available for the mission. Upon hearing this, Ike concludes that they must handle the situation alone, as Gamos, Bayo, Kushana, and their respective brigades are all engaged in other areas. As Ike readies his forces, Gunther, a dwarf warrior, arrives and offers his help, eager to repay his debt to Ike. Ike tells him that he has already repaid his debt by making the guns. Gunther clarifies that he is not the one who made the guns. They were made by dwarven craftsmen. He said there are around 100 dwarven warriors in this city, as well as craftsmen, who will serve him well in battle. Ike then says that this battle has nothing to do with the dwarves. However, Gunther responds, "If the Demon Lord's army wins and unifies the world, they will establish a state for us dwarves. That's why we stand with you." Ike replies, "But right now, we cannot fulfill that promise because the Demon Lord's army is struggling." Despite this, Gunther agrees, saying, "You have given a home to all the dwarves who were wandering the land, and now I need to repay your kindness. Dwarves are a race that never forgets those who helped them." Ike thanks him for this. The human villagers stepped forward, expressing their wish to join Ike on the battlefield. Angered, Piggy struck one of them, saying, "Humans can't fight." The villager replied, "We don't know how long this war will last, but we must protect ourselves. Since Ike took over, our lives have improved, and without his help, we would have starved or turned to banditry. Now, we want to repay his kindness." Piggy protested, saying demons couldn't accept human help. Suddenly, Lilith appeared, kicked Piggy and said, "Someone like you has no right to tell Ike what to do." Saiti supported her, and together they forced Piggy to apologize. After reflecting, Ike said, "Thank you all. We will split our forces. Some will go to Alesta, while others stay to guard the castle. If the Alliance of Kings attacks again, surrender. Don't resist and endanger yourselves. I don't want any of you harmed. You are all important to me. With the forces gathered, Ike and his army march towards Alesta to support Safiro. The trek takes about 4 days, and fortunately, their battalion grows in size along the way, thanks to the support of various allies. However, the enemy still vastly outnumbers them, forcing Ike and his companions to devise a strategy before they arrive at their destination. The scene shifts to the heart of the battle, where the fighting is fierce and explosions echo all around. Despite their best efforts, the ranks of the Demon Lord's army begin to crumble under the sheer number of enemy forces. Safiro, seeing the dire situation, warns that they will be defeated if they cannot separate the enemies inside the walls from those outside. She considers using magic to gain an advantage but hesitates, knowing it could harm the orc troops fighting alongside them. As she strategizes, she is suddenly struck by a powerful blow. Knocking her to the ground, the human army's commander approaches, mocking her as his soldiers surround her. Enraged, she summons her magic, causing roots to ensnare the soldiers, allowing her a moment to escape. However, the commander lands another strong blow, but she surprises him by blocking it. She quickly uses the roots as a barrier and manages to escape to a higher position. Exhausted from the intense fight, she begins to lose her balance. Desperate, she decides to unleash her true power but needs time to recite the necessary rituals. Just as she begins, a treacherous arrow strikes her directly, causing her to fall from the high ground. The soldiers and the commander, who had targeted her, quickly move in and surround her once more. The next morning, the humans had fully taken control of the situation. Orcs were tortured and burned one by one, their suffering a grim display of the enemy's dominance. Meanwhile, the human commander descended into the cell where Safiro was imprisoned. He wondered aloud if she had died yet, but the guard assured him that demons were tough and she was still alive. The guard offered to kill her immediately, if that was his wish. But Safiro interrupted, defiantly telling them not to underestimate her. The commander then addressed her, revealing that they had met before. He reminisced about their first encounter, where he was on horseback. Safiro responded with regret, saying, "If I had killed you back then, I wouldn't be in this humiliating predicament now." As the conversation unfolded, Safiro realized his true plan, to lure Ike and the entire 7th Legion into a trap by using her as bait, only to crush them upon arrival. Fury surged through her, and she yelled at him to kill her immediately, unable to bear the humiliation any longer. But the commander, Rodel, coldly refused. Left in the darkness, Safiro was deeply saddened and whispered, "I'm sorry, Ike." Ike led his army through the wilderness, camping after a long day. While his troops rested, he focused on planning their next move. The next morning, they marched on, ready for the challenges ahead. Later, Gunther informs Ike and Lilith that demons and humans are starting to fight in harmony, and the experimental weapons are ready. Nervous about the battle, Gunther asks when to attack. Ike explains the situation is still uncertain and mentions sending Piggy on a reconnaissance mission. They'll hold a strategy meeting once Piggy returns. Piggy and his scouts notice something unusual while surveying the enemy. Meanwhile, Lilith's eagerness to end the war contrasts with Piggy's somber mood when he returns to Ike. At Alesta, they discover Safiro's clothes hanging like a noose. Gunther, worried, asks Ike what to do next. Ike realizes Safiro is still alive, explaining that they rushed here, fearing they'd find her dead. Gunther suggests the scene might be a trick, but Ike remains certain they need to act quickly. After learning that Rodel, the skilled commander of the Red Dragon Brigade, leads the enemy forces, Ike concludes they must attack, even though it's a trap. He suspects Safiro is being used as bait, but could be too injured to move. With no time to waste, Ike turns to his companions, requesting Gunther and Lilith's help. They'll launch their attack at dawn. Will Ike and his army defy the odds and save Safiro? Or will they fall into the enemy's trap, sealing the fate of the 7th Legion? The answers await in the next thrilling episode. If you enjoyed this video, smash that like button, share it with your friends, and make sure to subscribe. Don't forget to ring the notification bell so you never miss a moment of our epic anime recaps, dropping every Wednesday and Saturday. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next adventure.